Danger Dolan.
From framed cartoon rabbits to M Night Shamalan's only film that anyone wants any more of, we look at 15 movies that need sequels. Number 15. The Goonies. We need more of these oddball kids running around and getting caught up in lost treasure and mobsters. The only problem is that all those kids have aged 30 years, but it could still work, right? The Goonies is a classic 80s kids film that had action, adventure, and comedy. It's a surprise that a sequel never got into production considering the endless possibilities of what these kids could have gotten up to next. But recently, there was talk that a sequel is being produced because Hollywood needs to cash in on all that 80s nostalgia right now. After all, us 80s kids have also aged 30 years. If they wait too much longer, we're going to be too old and bitter to sell nostalgia to. Number 14. The Italian Job. This 60s crime comedy popularized the small, versatile nature of the Mini Cooper and made it an icon of the decade with the ragtag gang using the cars to steal a bunch of mafia gold. The film also ended on a literal cliffhanger gag, with the group escaping in a bus filled with the gold they've stolen, and spoilers, it goes over the side of a cliff, with the passengers hanging for dear life with all the gold that they've stolen. A sequel was proposed to feature a daring helicopter rescue of the group and the gold by the mafia, who then would have stolen the gold, with the group spending the rest of the film trying to get it back. As time went on, the sequel never came about, and audiences were left with the question of how to deal with the cliffhanger ending. So much so that in 2008, the Royal Society of Chemistry held a competition of how to get the gold out of the bus. While there was no sequel, there was a remake with Mark Wahlberg that wasn't too bad, but it didn't capture the same comedic spirit of the original. It also provided no further answers on how to deal with that cliffhanger. Number 13. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Everyone's favorite crazy cartoon rabbit, well, second favorite anyways, was just begging to come back for a sequel. The duo of Eddie Valiant and Roger Rabbit was a hit with audiences, along with using groundbreaking animation effects and uniting Warner Brothers and Disney for one of the few times ever. You'd think that the forces that be would want to get more adventures out there. This wasn't the case, though. The proposed sequel, Who Discovered Roger Rabbit, had difficulty getting out of development hell. If completed as planned, the film would have taken place in World War II, featuring a plot with the sultry Jessica Rabbit being kidnapped by the Nazis. While the plot is controversial, it wouldn't be the first time that Warner Brothers or Disney have handled the topic of Nazism, although it's highly unlikely that we'll ever see that plot come to surface. In 2013, it was reported that Disney was working on a sequel featuring Roger Rabbit teaming up with Mickey Mouse, but it's still unknown if that will even happen, because as we all know, Mickey Mouse would never try to stop the Nazis. Number 12. The Incredibles. This one just had an update on its sequel status, with the script being in the works right now as I speak. That being said, just because a script is being worked on doesn't quite mean that the movie's actually gonna get made, so cross your fingers on this one. The Incredibles is a great example on how superhero films don't always need to go the Dark Knight route. Being as edgy as possible isn't always necessary to fill theater seats. With a budget of $92 million and a box office gross of $631.4 million, The Incredibles is no lightweight in the world of superhero films. It just goes to show that you don't need a hero dealing with violent and adult moral dilemmas just to get people to come out to the theater. That's why a sequel for The Incredibles needs to exist now more than ever. There's been a noticeable lack of light and humor in the superhero film genre as of late. While Marvel does allow a lot of light comedy into their films, there's still an adult darkness streaked throughout their character arcs. Besides, who doesn't love The Incredibles? Of course we need a sequel. Number 11. Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. Remo Williams is another rarely seen 80s gem that stars that one guy from Tremors who isn't Kevin Bacon, in addition to another guy in makeup pretending to be a Korean soap opera-loving martial arts guru. While there are a few questionable race issues there, the relationship between these two characters is dynamite. Combined with some old adventure novel action, the movie is one hell of a 90 minutes to sit through. If you're into side-splitting comedy and bullet-dodging action, this is one movie you definitely need to see. With the subtitle The Adventure Begins, it's clear that the creators had way more in store for audiences. But Lady Luck just wasn't on their shoulders, and the money just wasn't there in the end. Like with many cult 80 films, there have been talks over a sequel finally being produced. If a sequel finally does hit the theaters, Twitter will most likely explode over all that race stuff. The 80s were truly a magical time for racial insensitivity in motion pictures. Number 10. The Punisher. Everyone has that one Marvel film from the early 2000s that they'd love a sequel to. Daredevil being a great example, but for this list, it's 2004's Punisher. The film was faithful to the myriad of different comics in Frank Castle's library, especially year one. It also did an excellent job of setting up the characters that fans know and love. Only at the end do we see Thomas Jane step into the role of everyone's favorite murderous vigilante. This origin story was the Batman Begins of this iconic hyper-violent anti-hero. It was a setup for what could have been an amazing sequel, if not an entire film franchise. A sequel could have seen Thomas Jane seriously embrace his role to completion, like he did in the Punisher video game, which shared a theme much closer to that of the comics. Plans for a sequel were in development due to strong DVD sales, but they were dropped and the series was rebooted into yet another box office flop. Instead of watching another awful reboot, we suggest checking out Dirty Laundry. Dirty Laundry is a bootleg short made by Dread producer Adi Shankar. It was made to see what a second Thomas Jane Punisher could have been like. Personally, I'll take a good short film over an awful reboot any day of the week. Number 9. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension. Buckaroo Banzai is a film that took many years to find its audience and to be appreciated for its genre-bending brilliance and meta sci-fi hilarity. The film's protagonist is a top neurosurgeon, particle physicist, race car driver, rock star, and comic book hero who accidentally causes an interdimensional battle for Earth. Banzai is half pulp character, half superhero, and wholly awesome. A sequel is teased at the end of the film, with the writer and director having several scripts in the pipeline for Buckaroo's future adventures. 20th Century Fox, however, had no idea how to market the film in 1984, and it was ultimately seen as a disappointment, killing any and all plans for the multiple planned sequels. Over the years, the film has developed a strong cult following that can only now dream of what else may have been. Number 8. Big Trouble in Little China. This action comedy kung fu classic has long been one of the most underrated films by horror icon John Carpenter, featuring some of the most insane ideas ever put to page. The film plays out like an old serial, with our hero Kurt Russell playing a truck driver who gets caught up in a mystical battle in Little China. The movie's absolutely nuts and plays well to its strengths of being strange and hilarious. Again, this has become a cult film over time, with audiences appreciating it from the old VHS era. The film ends on sort of a cliffhanger, teasing more adventures with our truck driving protagonist about to be attacked by a monster hitching a ride on his big rig. Then again, the last time Carpenter did a sequel, it was Escape from LA, and that did not go over well, so maybe we don't need a sequel for this one. Number 7. Bubba Ho Ted. This cult horror comedy features the one and only Bruce Campbell as an elderly Elvis impersonator who may or may not actually be Elvis. But that's not even the half of it, with the plot that includes mystical undead mummies and a fellow retiree who says he's JFK and that the CIA dyed his skin black. Bubba Ho Ted promises at the end that we would get a prequel, Bubba Nosferatu Curse of the She-Vampires. But sadly, disagreements between Campbell and director Don Corsielli derailed the production. Bubba Ho Ted is one of those films that is just so odd and funny that you want to see more. And Bruce Campbell is at his best, playing a geriatric Elvis who fixates on the growth of his pecker. Not seeing him take on she-vampires truly is a crime against humanity. Number 6. The Incredible Hulk. The second big-budget attempt to bring the green rage-filled monster over to the screen was a massive improvement over the previous effort from director Ang Lee. That being said, despite being a massive improvement over Ang Lee's effort, at the end of the day, it's mostly an average film. Despite its mediocrity, this film combined with Iron Man helped to spawn the juggernaut that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it almost seems impossible that The Incredible Hulk wouldn't have gotten a sequel. We can mainly blame Ed Norton and Universal Studios for that. While Norton was more or less fired from the role due to post-production arguments, Mark Ruffalo replaced him to massive acclaim in The Avengers, supposedly playing the same character, similar to Don Cheadle replacing Terrence Howard in Iron Man 2. The world deserves a Hulk film that doesn't suck. There's plenty of good storylines to adapt like Planet Hulk, but despite the great storylines out there and Hulk's popularity in The Avengers, legal issues with Universal will momentarily prevent a new Hulk film from ever seeing the screen. Number 5. The Rocketeer. This early 90s film was released along with a slew of pulp-style action adventures that were everywhere at the time. Films like Dick Tracy and The Shadow, which were both comic book adaptations, are a little bit more well-known, but The Rocketeer was the best of the bunch. The plot for the film is about a stunt pilot who finds a secret jetpack and decides to fight the Nazis in 1930s California. While it had a small audience on release, it's developed a strong cult following of jetpack enthusiasts who have been craving a sequel. The film, like many others on this list, was planned to be the first of a trilogy, but it never came to pass. Though a sequel being produced is unlikely, there have been discussions about rebooting the series. Number 4. Daywatch. This Russian urban fantasy series, based on the novels of the same name, made a big impression with the first film Nightwatch, and was marketed from day one as a trilogy. However, Daywatch didn't live up to the same fanfare as the first, and the third film remained unmade. This largely had to do with a bunch of mismarketing and odd cuts to the original Russian version, making a lot of the plot confusing. This left the main characters in an odd ending that we get to via involuntary sex changes, time travel, and magic chalk. While Daywatch may have not lived up to its predecessor, it's a shame not to see the story completed and to find out how the battle between the Night Watch and the Day Watch would have come to a close. Number 3. District 9 is one of the best sci-fi films of recent years, combining a documentary style and an allegory for social issues in South Africa with kick-ass action and gruesome alien encounters. The end of District 9 is left open and on quite a tragic note. Our human protagonist is left with a story unresolved, as is the plight of the unwelcome prawns. While it seemed that a sequel was assured when the film came out due to its huge success, its director and creative team were quickly snatched up by Hollywood projects. But it is possible that a sequel could still happen, with talks of it resurfacing after Blomkamp's Chappie hit theaters. If it does, then this part of the video will be very redundant for people in the future. Number 2. Unbreakable, possibly M Night Shyamalan's most underrated film, suffered for not being as memorable as The Sixth Sense, despite being critically and financially successful. Another origin story, this film sets up Bruce Willis as a superhero, but it ends before we get to see him at his full potential, which sounds like a setup for a really entertaining sequel. Originally, the script was much larger and contained details on how the film would be further expanded, but Shyamalan was so interested in the origin story that he expanded on that instead, with rumors of a trilogy having been planned for the future. These rumors still persist today, and while it's doubtful a sequel will ever be made, it'd be a nice twist if it were. Then I could buy the trilogy to replace my broken Unbreakable DVD. Number 1. Dredd 2 has been one of the most talked about and demanded sequels in the past few years. While Dredd was received well by comic fans, it didn't pull in a lot of money until the home release, which grew in popularity through word of mouth. The reason for the poor box office sales was apparently attributed to people being confused, thinking that the film was somehow linked to the Sylvester Stallone adaptation from 1995. But that would be assuming that people are too stupid to know what a reboot is, as if they thought people were genuinely too perplexed to understand that this wasn't a Stallone film. Anyway, since its release, fans have been begging for a sequel to happen, but it seems like that isn't likely for the foreseeable future. Unfortunately, we'll never get to see more of the great Mega City 1 designs, or the fantastic blood-soaked hyper-violence that Judge Dredd's known for. Of course, when Dredd gets rebooted again, it'll fail because audiences will still be expecting Sylvester Stallone. I wonder if people think Rambo, Rocky, and Judge Dredd are Sylvester Stallone documentaries.
That's it for this countdown, and have a good one!